It's time to join your host, Jean-Francois Gemme, founder of List Building Anonymous, the 12-step program for building a profitable online business, and the only podcast which delivers A to Z strategies from the online trenches and experts straight to you.
Hi, my name is Jean-Francois and I'm a list builder. I want to welcome you to today's episode where we'll go over the step 9 of the 12-step program for building a profitable online business. Step 9 is all about stories. We mastered our own story selling. The first thing I want to share with you is a quote that I first heard from Danny Johnson about 10 years ago. And it's fact tells and story sells. So there's an emotional trigger in the buying decision process that can only be accessed through storytelling. For example, facts tells about the pros and cons of a product or service, but when we focus too much attention on them, we most likely will give people things to think about it. So when we're not using enough stories in our marketing, we get a lot of, I have to think about it. And then it becomes a race to overcome objection. I can vouch on that because I've been there for a couple of years. I've been getting a lot of these response from people. The unfamous, I would say, I have to think about it. And then there's other technique that you can still overcome objection, but it becomes not as easy and not as fulfilling than going the story route. So stories on the other side will help overcome objections before the prospect will even have it. It also trigger the emotional connection and confidence that will often have people say to themselves, I can do this. So that's one of the main goal in storytelling. Another concept that I first learned about from David Sharp back in 2012 is the concept of the open loops. So the purpose of this concept is to grab the attention through a longer setting by telling 2, 3, or even 4 stories at a time. Said longer settings because sometimes when you want to make a point, if you have just like a couple of minutes, you're going to use one story that you're going to tell the story and it's going to help you make the point. But if you have a setting where you have more time, it's something that is really powerful to be able to wrap the point you want to make into more than one story and also overcome more than one objection in the process. The way it works is that first you tell the backstory of story number 1 up to the I drama, then transition to tell the backstory of story number 2, again up to the I drama, and so on for as many stories that we are able to link together. And then you explain what happened that changed the course of each story. And that is the core point that you want either to teach or communicate. And lastly, you close the loops by sharing how each story ends in a way that gives hope to people. So this is a concept that is really powerful and that gives the ability to grab and maintain the attention of people. And you can see that in many movies. There's many examples, but there's 2 in particular that I can think of right now. But almost every blockbuster have this concept embedded in them. But the 2 that I have in mind is Star Wars and Matrix. If you look any of the Star Wars movies, there's always 2, 3, and most of the time even 4 things that happen at the same time. So the movie creator will go from one story to the other, but it seems that there's no end. So, and at some point in the movie and of course at the end of the movie, it all come together and you can see the end or even when, for example, with Star Wars, you can have an open loop that will bring from Star Wars 1 to Star Wars 2, for example, and when it's a series of movie, there's some part of the stories that will end in the movie, but you always have something that is kept open so people are really interested in seeing what's next in the next episode. Matrix is the same thing. You have the story that goes on inside the Matrix, as well as what's happening in the city they call Zion. So in the real world. So that's another example, but there's many. I mean, there's a lot of movie. Probably you can think of your favorite movie and you can see that this concept was used. So that's for the open loops. The last thing would like to discuss with you is how to turn your mess into your message, and how powerful, once again, this concept is inside the storytelling. And so a lot of people, me included, take a long time to use this because of shame. For me, for example, there's many part of my story. For example, my struggles with addiction 20 and some years ago. And also the bankruptcy that I went through, the divorce, all those kind of things that were not fun, and that it's not something that I was used to share a lot. But once I've seen many other people use their mess into a message of hope, I realized that maybe 98% of people, even more, who can say 100%, but goes through similar struggles. And when they hear you talking about yours and how you were able to overcome and create either freedom or better future for yourself, for sure you're sharing hope. So it's being able to share openly these struggle is really what will get people to bond with our attractive character, and also make the connection that no matter where we come from, what only matters is where we're going. So it gives hope to people that even if they're currently struggling, they can too break through and get to where they want. So in this episode, we focus on our story selling by seeing that facts tells and story sells. We also talked about the open loops. And lastly, we saw how to turn our mess into our message. This skills set is maybe, there's part of it that is advanced stuff, but anyone can implement it, since we all already have our story inside of us. So maybe for the open loops, it's something that you will need to practice. So you can either practice with just a one-on-one settings, or even record yourself and see and practice it, so you improve that skill set. But like someone really appreciate once said, repetition is the mother of all skills. So I encourage you strongly to just start and practice, and we all get good by practicing. So now for next week, we'll continue with step 10, which is we started to own email marketing, and we'll have yet another amazing guest. So you don't want to miss this. Keep an eye on your email inbox, as I will send you the invite and reveal the name of that guest. So I want to thank you for tuning in, and look forward to lock arms with you and together master these steps. Until then, I wish you an amazing journey.
This is the podcastfactory.com.